In the heart of 19th century Paris, a young man wandered the streets, sketchbook in hand. His eyes searched for beauty in ordinary faces, rough hands, fleeting gestures. That young man was Auguste Rodin, the artist who would one day give sculpture its heartbeat and emotion. But his path to greatness was anything but smooth. The sculpture was so realistic they called it a fraud. The woman he loved spent decades in an asylum. The art world either worshipped him or hated him. This is the story of a man who carved not just stone, but the soul of humanity itself. Welcome to Creative Art Chronicles. François-Auguste René Rodin was born in 1840 into a working-class family in Paris. His father was a clerk in the city's police department, and his mother devoted herself to raising the family. As a boy, Rodin struggled in school. His poor eyesight and unconventional manner made him seem slow to teachers. Yet his notebooks were filled with sketches. At 17, he applied to the prestigious École des Beaux-Arts. He failed the entrance exam 3 times. Rejection after rejection could have crushed him, but instead it set him free. Rodin turned away from academic art and chose a harder, lonelier path, learning from life itself. In his 20s, Rodin worked for other sculptors, often creating pieces that others would sign. He was invisible in his own success. A turning point came in 1876 when he traveled to Italy. Standing before Michelangelo's works, Rodin was overwhelmed. These sculptures were alive, muscles straining, souls trembling beneath stone. He realized that the human body could express everything: fear, love, strength, despair, if only the artist dared to see deeply enough. From then on, Rodin's goal was not perfection, but truth. In 1877, Rodin unveiled the Age of Bronze. A young man in a natural pose, his expression caught between awakening and despair. It was so realistic that critics accused him of cheating, claiming he had taken a direct cast from a live model. Rodin was humiliated, but also famous overnight. He defended himself fiercely, showing sketches and studies as proof. "Art," he said, "is nothing without life." That scandal, painful as it was, became the foundation of his legend. Rodin's personal life was as passionate as his art. He lived for decades with Rose Buret, a devoted companion who shared his poverty and later his fame. Yet in 1883, Rodin met a brilliant young sculptor, Camille Claudel. Their connection was electric: teacher and student, muse and master, lovers and rivals. Camille's talent was extraordinary. Many believe she inspired some of his most intimate sculptures: The Kiss, Eternal Springtime, The Eternal Idol. But their relationship burned too brightly. Camille longed for recognition of her own and resented being seen as merely Rodin's muse. Their break shattered her. In time, illness and isolation consumed her life, and she spent decades confined to an asylum, her genius nearly forgotten. Rodin carried that loss with him forever. By the early 1900s, Rodin was a global phenomenon. His studio became a meeting place for writers, intellectuals, and politicians. Among his friends was the poet Rainer Maria Rilke, who became his secretary and later wrote hauntingly about Rodin's devotion to work. Critics sometimes mocked him for leaving surfaces rough or figures unfinished. But Rodin believed truth lay in imperfection, that the marks of the artist's hand gave sculptures their life. In 1917, at 77 years old, Rodin finally married Rose Buret, his lifelong partner. She died only 2 weeks later, and Rodin followed her to the grave soon after. They now rest beneath The Thinker, his most famous work, forever contemplating the mystery of life and art. Rodin did not just create sculptures. He reinvented what sculpture could be. Before him, art celebrated smooth perfection. After him, it embraced emotion, vulnerability, and the marks of process itself. Rodin opened the door to modern sculpture. Artists like Constantine Brancusi, Alberto Giacometti, and Henry Moore drew inspiration from his courage to let the material speak. Picasso, who visited Rodin's 1900 retrospective as a young artist, was deeply influenced by the master sculptor's work. This influence extended into his paintings during what scholars call his Rodinian period, from 1900 to 1917. He showed that the unfinished could be more powerful than the polished, that art should not imitate life, it should reveal it. His influence reshaped museums, art schools, and entire generations of sculptors. Today, when we see expressive surfaces and human figures full of movement and feeling, we are seeing echoes of Rodin's revolution. Through his hands, stone began to breathe, and the world has never looked at sculpture the same way again. Rodin once said, "The main thing is to be moved, to love, to hope, to tremble, to live." In every curve of marble, every rough surface of bronze, that is exactly what he left us. A beating heart carved in stone. If you would like to hear more art history stories, please hit subscribe and leave your comments below.